After watching this video, you will know exactly whether AI will replace developers or not, what you should be doing, and what you should expect in the future. I am ATO and I'm a full-stack developer who has built and published several apps on the App Store and the Play Store, and I've also developed several client projects, and I'm currently also running my own training program where I teach people programming online. And I've built some of these projects entirely without using AI, and some of them I use AI to aid me to go a little bit faster. So when it comes to this matter, I am your guy, so stay tuned and let's get straight into this video. So will AI take away your job as a developer? So this glaring question is being asked by several beginners and even experienced developers every single day. While we have seen a couple of mixed responses from both experienced and non-experienced developers, the common trend is usually that developers with zero experience are scared and feel like programming is not worth it anymore. They see the capabilities of things like ChatGPT, and with the recent announcement of the new AI software engineer, Devin AI, which was in fact a total PR move and it was not really a real software engineer AI. And when they see this, they are scared and they think that there is no future for programmers since AI will come and take away their jobs. On the flip side, experienced developers have very mixed opinions. Some senior developers say AI will definitely take their jobs. Even Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of the fastest growing company in today's world, which is Nvidia, says we won't need programmers in the coming years as everybody will be able to write code simply by typing prompts. His opinion, while quite controversial and optimistic, has a lot of weight into it because he's literally one of the main, or let's say the #1 chip makers for AI processing units in the entire world. So we can say his opinion can be based off of experience. But the thing is, he's not an active programmer, so he's not really involved in software development. He's mostly involved in the business side of things. So we can also say, for that reason, we can take his opinion with a grain of salt. Lots of other senior developers with a lot of years of experience say that there is no way AI will replace developers, claiming that a developer who uses AI will replace developers who don't use it. The premise is that there are varying project requirements, and even changes in client emotions and desires can change a project's requirement entirely. And only a human can handle these changes effectively. So you see that there are several points for this or against this depending on who you ask. But this video is going to be different. I'll give you my own opinion based on the experience I have building apps using AI and without using AI, and I'll just try to conclude if from all this experience I can see AI totally replacing me in the near future, or let's say replacing a junior developer. So before the first version of ChatGPT was announced, I was pretty much like every other developer out there. I would have an idea, do research on how to get started with the idea, start sketching out a quick design of the front end, then how the back end will work, and throughout the process of building the app, I would be doing a lot of Googling, browsing through Stack Overflow like crazy, reading documentations to find answers, and just lots of trials and errors when building complex logic, to even writing out algorithms on paper before actually starting to implement it. So when the first version of ChatGPT was released, that was on November 30th, 2022, I was very early to hop on it, as the next day I started using it and experimenting with it. Just to keep it brief, I was absolutely amazed of its capabilities, and it was not only its coding capabilities, but it was also its capabilities to give accurate answers overall. I don't think I was the only one amazed. I think the whole world was caught by storm. I think everybody was really pleasantly surprised when ChatGPT was announced and when they got to use it by themselves. But at that point in time, I didn't really trust it when it came to coding. I only used it for homework and to help me sometimes to take my online exams. Please don't judge me. Everybody was doing it. So at that point in time, my verdict was that AI will never replace developers and may be only used to generate little code snippets, and I wasn't even thinking a lot about AI as something that could even replace developers, so the possibility wasn't even in mind. Now fast forward to March 14, 2023. ChatGPT 4 was announced. After using ChatGPT 3.5 to help me with my history homework, I hurried up and paid a subscription to start using ChatGPT 4, and it was really a huge improvement. It got significantly better at programming, and around that time I began the development of my first huge application, which was a social media plus learning application. So this new version of ChatGPT really helped me tremendously to move faster, but I realized that it wasn't too consistent with its responses, implying that when you ask it a question, it will give you a response, then 5 minutes later you try to ask it a question based on its previous response, and you will not be able to answer anymore, and you will just start hallucinating and lack a lot of context to what you asked it previously. So basically the amount of code it could generate will be limited, and it couldn't really keep much context to generate code from its own previous responses. Nevertheless, it still helped me nicely as a very good companion. At this point, I saw AI as an advanced companion, but in no way could you give it very complex tasks to handle, as there will be a lot of bugs, and in some cases it will even totally change the code you gave it and also change the logic and just produce something totally unrelated. But yeah, it still helped me a whole lot to build the mobile version of my application and also the web version. Though the app wasn't really successful and I had to eventually shut it down entirely, it was still a very good experience to have. So at this point, my verdict was that AI still cannot replace developers, but it's still a very handy tool and a very good companion. Now, May 13th, 2024, that is 1 month ago as of the time I'm recording this video, OpenAI published a very exciting video showcasing the new capabilities of the latest version of ChatGPT, which was ChatGPT 4o. So they mainly showcased their text-to-speech capabilities and natural voice capabilities, and it was nothing short of impressive. But as a developer, I didn't really care a lot about that, and I was just interested in its coding capabilities. Right around this time, I was about to start building my new SaaS application for the students of the Programmers University. The Programmers University is basically an online school that I run where I teach people how to code from scratch and take them from zero to a full-stack developer in less than 12 months. And throughout this program, they build a ton of projects that they can stack up in their resume. Since I was already having a GPT-4 subscription, I gained direct access to the new version a few days after it was announced. The first thing I realized with ChatGPT 4o was that it became significantly better at keeping context from its previous responses and accurately continuing its previous responses after it reached its max character limit. Also, the input character limit had been significantly increased, so you could give it over 700 lines of code to analyze or to modify, and you'll be able to analyze this code without losing context, without changing your code or giving anything unrelated to what you asked. So it was actually a really great improvement, and I was very pleasantly surprised and impressed too. The more I used it, the more I was amazed on how accurate it was at executing prompts, how much code it could generate, and how much smarter it was overall. That is when I started realizing something. Developers may truly be in trouble this time. And I was just starting to think to myself that ChatGPT 5 will be released probably next year, and this release will be maybe very problematic for developers. But not for the reason that you think, and hear me out. So 15 years ago, you were required to know only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to land a job as a web developer. Today, you have to know these 3 languages and also a ton of frameworks and libraries to learn a job as a developer. Now with AI coming and being this good, you'll be required to know over 100 languages, 100 tools, and you should just know how to use a bunch of things as a developer, the better these AI tools get. So basically, you have to get 10 times more versatile as a developer in order to be relevant in today's market, or let's say the future market. So with how good AI has become, I see programming becoming like learning data structures and algorithms. So you learn data structures and algorithms, but you don't really use them on a daily basis because a lot of algorithms have already been developed, a lot of data structures have already been implemented for you. All you need now is just to be calling the functions and be using the algorithms that have already been implemented. But having the knowledge of how they work is very important. That is how I see programming becoming in the next few years after AI becomes significantly better. You will not need to learn programming diligently as we learn now. You need to just learn the fundamentals, have a general idea of how things work, but when building projects, you will not be required to write complete programs from scratch, as you will just be generating a lot of those code and modifying them. So learning the fundamentals will be the main requirements for programming. Obviously, this is both advantageous and disadvantageous, as the barrier to entry to programming will be less and less. To be relevant in the market, you will need to know a ton of languages, need to know how to use a ton of tools, need to know how to use a ton of services just to be relevant and just to be competitive. So that is how I think developers will be in trouble from how I see it. Right now, companies have not yet really integrated AI tools to their software development processes. But when this is going to be integrated, softwares and apps are going to be shipped way faster than they are right now. So there will be several iterations and also increase in work for developers. So you really become very competitive overall, and landing a job will require you to really prove yourself using projects that you've actually built, hosted, optimized, and several other stuff. It will no more be enough to just build a simple to-do list app, to build a simple website. You'll be required to build complete total applications, as other people will be able to build them thanks to AI. So the requirements are just going to increase. The barrier to entry will be lower, but the requirements to land a job are going to be way higher. So my final verdict right now, after using the latest version of ChatGPT and also trying to project a little bit in the future, is that AI will still not replace developers, but it's going to change our approach to programming, and it's going to reduce the barrier to entry to being a developer. It will also increase the requirements for a single job and also make recruiters more rigorous in their recruiting process. So if you're a beginner and you're still skeptical about AI taking your job, you shouldn't be worried about that. You should be worried whether you're going to be able to be competitive in this very competitive market. So my only advice is that keep learning, keep working hard, and keep building, because that's the only way you're going to do to stand out and you're going to be relevant in this market. Finally, as you keep learning and growing, even if you're an experienced developer, also try to explore how you can actually integrate these AI tools to your development workflow to make you more efficient and just faster overall. So thank you for watching this video. If it was helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.